we picked it and where we were wrong and what surprised us and everything in between there. So that's just a quick recap of what we think is going to go on at No Mercy. Right now we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. When we come back, we're going to get into other sports. We're going to try to get into some NBA talk with, Kyrie Irving and his comments this week about leaving Cleveland. We're going to talk a little bit about some baseball, some stats there and some standings there with Major League Baseball and some other things going on in sports this week. We're also going to end it with our Week 3 NFL picks. This is Sports Moods.
Two Moodys. One duty.
One duty. Sports. I guess we're going to do it together.
Hey, that sounded good, though.
Yeah, so 2 Moodys, 1 duty. Sports. We'll be back in just a bit. All right, guys. Welcome back to Sports Moods. 2 Moodys.
1 duty.
Sports. So right now we're going to get into in other sports. So we've already covered everything from the NFL Week 2 and how things went there. We got into WWE talking about Raw and Smackdown Live and also our No Mercy predictions for the pay-per-view coming up Sunday. Now in other sports, we're going to start things off with MLB right now. It's getting down to playoff time now before it gets to the World Series and everything. And we'll kind of talk about both leagues and what's going on in the standings right now. Right now in the American League, the American League East, Boston and New York are jostling for position in that division right now. Boston has a 2-game lead as of today. 87 and 64 is Boston. The Yankees are 85 and 67. So that's going to come down to the stretch. Both of them are playing really good baseball down the stretch. We know Aaron Judge is just knocking the ball out of the park for the Yankees this year. 8-2 in their last 10 games are the Yankees. The Red Sox not that far behind at 7-3 in their last 10. So either one of these two teams, whoever doesn't win this division, will definitely be in position to, take one of those wild card spots in the American League. Moving to the AL Central, Cleveland has already clinched that division. We know Cleveland has been winning a lot of games in a row as of late. I think their streak did come to an end. They did have the streak, I think, of 22 in a row before they suffered that first loss. So that's amazing. They're playing some really good baseball. We know they did make it to the World Series last year. Lost to the Cubs, so looking to bounce back from that. They are 9-1 in their last 10 games, so they've already clinched their ticket for the playoffs. Just want to hit at their manager, Terry Francona, has been pretty much successful everywhere he's been, looking to win his 3rd World Series title. We all know he won 2 in Boston, and now he's really building a good culture in Cleveland right now as they're the top seed right now in the American League. Also going to the American League West, quietly, not a lot of credit out there for the Houston Astros, but they're number 1 in their division right now. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games with a record of 92 wins and 58 losses. So they've pretty much clinched that division as well. So we're looking like the 4 teams that could potentially be in the playoffs right now right now it's looking like Boston, Cleveland, Houston, and the New York Yankees. The Minnesota Twins are also in the wild card race right now as well, so they're looking like the second wild card team to clinch a spot. So basically right now, if the playoffs were to start today in the American League, the Yankees and the Twins would be in. As we know in the MLB, with the wild card, whoever makes the two wild card games, those two teams have to play each other. The 1 and 2 wild card spots will play each other in a 1-game playoff. Whoever wins that game advances to the divisional round to face the highest seed remaining in the postseason. So that's a little bit of what's going on right now in the American League. We'll change it over to the National League right now in the NL East. Washington has already clinched that division. 91 wins, 59 losses. They've been playing average baseball lately at a 5-5 record in their last 10 games. In the NL West at this point, the Dodgers, who've pretty much been the best team in baseball all year, the most consistent team, they've hit a rough patch down the stretch. They are closing in on 100 wins on the season, 96 and 55 on the year. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games. Also, second place in that division. One of the first wild cards in the National League is the Arizona Diamondbacks at 87 and 65, and also Colorado at 82 and 70 right now. That second wild card spot. So it kind of looks like the NL West could potentially send 3 teams to the playoffs, and 2 of those teams could potentially meet in that 1-game playoff in the wild card. In the National League Central Division, the defending World Series champion Chicago Cubs, 84 wins, 66 losses on the season. 7-3 in their last 10 games, looking to repeat as champs. They started the season off pretty inconsistently, but they've been coming on strong as of late to try to clinch that Central Division. They only have a 3-game lead over Milwaukee, who is 81 and 70, who is not too far behind Colorado in the NL wildcard race. So the NL wildcard race has pretty much got 4 teams vying for those 2 wildcard spots. Also the Cardinals from St. Louis not too far behind at 78 and 72. So a lot still can happen down the stretch here in this division. But I still think Chicago will clinch the division. And then possibly we could maybe see Milwaukee maybe sneak in and take a spot from either Colorado or Arizona if they get on a little hot streak to close out the season with about 12 games left or so. So that's how things are looking right now in as far as the standings are concerned with the Major League Baseball as we get close to playoff time. Here's a fun stat for the MLB history-making season. This year, 5,694 home runs this season is the most ever in a Major League Baseball season.
And we're not even done.
Yeah, we're not even done. We still got a couple more games to go, so they can pretty much still push that number out even further.
Yep.
So right now we're seeing a lot of balls leave the yard, for the most home runs hit. And I think Alex Gordon.
Yep, Kansas City, Alex Gordon.
Was the one to break the record for the MLB this year for the most home runs in one season. So goes to show you going into playoff time how this could be sometimes good pitching. A lot of people say great hitting cancels out great pitching. So I'm anxious to see how things will turn out for the playoffs and how the divisions will shake up. But I thought that was just one thing I wanted to hit on about the home runs. I know a lot of people feel like in baseball with the whole steroid issue with all the home runs and stuff, a lot of people aren't playing the game fairly, aren't playing the game clean.
Right.
But that's still a huge thing to do, to hit that many home runs as a combined league in one season.
Definitely. And I mean, from the looks of it, as far as to the public eye, I mean, we don't talk about the steroid situation no more. So, from being the era where people should be hitting home runs, considering this steroid use era, to now this potentially, era that, everybody's not doing it. Hopefully, to say that they've already hitting over 5,600, home runs in the season right before the end of it, and going to continue it's amazing, man. It's really a good thing for the
because
league.
you notice when they cracked down on a lot of that steroid use, the PED use and stuff, you saw like no hitters and stuff went up in baseball.
Right.
You saw pitchers actually finishing like perfect games and no hitters and one hitters and two hitter type pitching, strong pitching performances. So now the home runs are starting to pile back in again. So I'll let C Moody kind of give you some other stuff in sports.
Man, going back to the New York Yankees, man, the incident happened today, actually. Unfortunately, to hear the third baseman, Ty Frazier, he hit a foul ball, and in doing so, he hit a little girl, who was a toddler, and it said that she was there, with her grandparents, and it hit her in the face. They actually had to take a pause for her to receive immediate medical attention. I think when I last looked at it, she's currently in the hospital. They're not giving out any other information due to the HIPAA Act. I can't remember what it means. But yeah, it was a pretty, sad day just for both teams. Everybody was pretty distraught and, out of whack from it, So that was pretty sad.
Sad that happened. I hope everything works out for her.
Definitely.
Sometimes those baseball games, man, you got to be paying attention. I mean, not saying that she put herself in that position. She's a child, so
right.
I mean, you do see, there is a chance that the ball could potentially hit you. I know they can't net off every area I know behind home plate you usually have the big net to protect people behind.
Exactly.
But I mean, sometimes you have those freakish things that happen, and to me, that's just an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like you said, you just have to be there and be ready or be cautious in one. So.
Yeah, as a fan, you're there to spectate and look, but you never thought that you'll become. But it's just like in the NBA, like when they're diving for loose balls and stuff, and you jump on somebody in the crowd or whatever. You just got to be careful, just make sure you're attentive when you're at those games and watching out for your loved ones and everything.
Definitely. One more thing, man. Well, we're going out of baseball now, but I want to get into some MMA / WWE, and I'm going to explain why. The current MMA featherweight championship, Miss Chris the Cyborg Justino, who's currently champion at 18-1, announced on her website today that she would be willing to fight Ronda Rousey, who technically her record still is 12-2 right now, but she would only fight her in the WWE. And she said it because she said that it'll help Ronda Rousey's case because she feels like Ronda Rousey's just trying to be Hollywood now. And for her, it would just give her an athletic challenge. But she addresses that Ronda Rousey avoided her before when Ronda was at her peak. And she doesn't want to fight her in the UFC platform now because she feels like, she's off her game. We know that she lost. Ronda Rousey hasn't even fought since she lost that first round match against Amanda Nunes in December of 2016. So it's almost a year since she's actually been in the ring fighting. And so,
what do you think about that?
I mean, I think that's actually something that could happen because as of late, I know Ronda Rousey developed her 4 horsewomen in the MMA. And one of the 4 actually was in the what's the name? Mae Young Classic tournament. And she actually got to the finals. I can't remember her name. Forgive me for that, but in the midst of not only one of the 4 horsewomen of the UFC being in this Mae Young WWE Classic Wrestling tournament, throughout of it, you would notice seeing the actual Ronda Rousey and the rest of her 4 horsewomen in the MMA not only attend to support, their fellow horsewomen, but actually see them actually run into the WWE's 4 horsewomen, which is Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. So it was actually a couple of times that
could be a
matched off.
to Survivor Series too.
That could be too. That actually be really good to see. And they actually said that they went back and forth on whether or not it'll happen, and the only reason they didn't get them into the WWE sooner is because the UFC horsewoman that lost in the finals. The only reason she lost was because she didn't fully come to terms with signing the contract with WWE.
Oh.
So because of that, I mean, she's not an official WWE wrestler, so she had to take that L.